What is chaos? Chaos is represented in most belief systems. It is often seen as a state from which all existence ultimately comes from, and at the same time, it is the force that threatens to consume us all. Being sometimes a primordial ooze or a vibrating stream. Chaos is possibility, it is potential. It is unpredictable as it is enigmatic. Chaos is defined as both the spark of life that came from the vibrations of the ancient deities of the Ogdoad Cosmology and the force that would ultimately overwhelm the 9 realms at the time of Ragnarok. Chaos in its definition is defined as any confused or disorderly mass, a state of utter confusion or disorder, a lack of organization. It is such an important topic that it has developed into a branch of mathematics on its own, chaos theory. It is an interdisciplinary theory stating that within the apparent randomness of chaotic, complex systems, there are underlying patterns, interconnectedness, constant feedback loops, repetition, self-similarity, fractals, and self-organization. It has spawned even the butterfly effect, an underlying principle of chaos that describes how small changes in one state of a deterministic nonlinear system can result in larger differences in a larger state, showing that there is a sensitive dependence on initial conditions. A metaphor for this behavior is that a butterfly flapping its wings in Texas has the ability to cause a hurricane or tsunami in China. In Germanic traditions, chaos, or more actually the struggle against chaos, chaos Kampf, is typically defined by the depiction of a cult hero battling a chaos monster, most often in the form of a serpent or dragon. And we would see this in Thor's battle against the Midgardian serpent. And this is just a microcosm of the Norse beliefs, as the Aesir were constantly fighting back the forces of chaos. And as predicted in their most famous story, the prophecy called Ragnarok, chaos would in the end win the day. In North Africa, the parallels would include Maat, who represented truth, versus Isfet, and more popularly, Horus the Younger battling his uncle Set. And for the Kemetic and later Egyptian people, Set was the most famous representation of a chaos force. He was seen as dangerous at times and claimed the life of his brother, the beloved Asar. His reign reflected a time of difficulty for the empire on earth. But he remained an important figure in the protection of Ra on his nightly voyage into the underworld. And Greek cosmology tells us that the very first of all things was chaos. It is the origin of everything, the empty, unfathomable space at the beginning of time. And per their myth, in the beginning, chaos was all that there was, the dark majesty and mystery of creation incarnate. And that it was from the chaos that the first 3 primordial gods sprang forth. The wide-bosomed Gaia, Tartarus, who would be the underworld, and Eros, who was love. And from those 3 they would produce Erebus, who was darkness, and Nyx, who was the night. And from those we would see the growth of the universe. We cannot ignore the association of chaos and dark matter, which accounts for 85% of the matter in the universe and a quarter of its mass. We have spent thousands of years as a collective group of humans contemplating the effects of chaos, such that it has been deified as much as any of the other natural forces of the world. We talk easily of the god Set of Kemetic beliefs, who was their representation, and Loki, who was one of the representations of chaos for the Norse. But for the Canaanites, it was Yam, who was a god of the sea and the primordial chaos. For the Mesopotamians, it was Tiamat, who was the form of the great dragon, who had to be slain or tamed before the new order of gods could come into power. In Zoroastrianism, it was the deity known as Angra Mainyu, who fought against the establishment of order that the teachings espoused were the fundamental purpose of man's place on earth, to bring about order to what had been chaos. However chaos is viewed or represented, there is a rich lineage and history of examining and attempting to understand that which by definition seems to be beyond our comprehension. But still we yearn to understand the potential, the unpredictability, and the ultimate role that chaos plays in our lives and the growth and end of the universe.